brothers and my sisters, we're going to get started. We will go live on Facebook for those who would join us. Those who are on Zoom as well would join us. And we thank you for coming to St. Paul. And we do the countdown when my take man says, go. Greetings. God bless you. Good evening to everybody. We welcome you once again to St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church, a church that thrives in being in the community with the community at heart. We welcome our city and state officials who come to join this community listening session. Concerns around the Arlington Grove apartments, the violence that has taken place, hosted by our very own Precious Jones, the chairwoman of Mamas Against Homicide. And of course, you see the pictures on the altar. We remember those lives that have been lost in senseless violence. So let us pray. God our Father, thou who rules and super rules the world, thou who causes the world to turn in space, allow the stars to sprinkle and the sun to shine and the rain to fall. The God that wakes us up in the morning and starts us on our way, we pray to the God who has all power in his hand, who is omnipotent and omniscient, who knows everything, and who's also omnipresent. And we ask you, God, to be present in this space, in this place, as we have this discussion, as we forge ahead of a society free of violence, free of gun violence. Oh God, we pray for this forum, that it would yield solutions to the issues that we face. Bless us, we pray. And this is in Jesus' name and in the God of our own understanding. And all the people said, amen. Once again, we welcome you to St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church, our distinguished leader, president of the Board of Auto Persons of St. Louis, President Megan Green. We thank God for you. Our very own Representative Dale Tiller, who's always a part of us. And also we welcome State Representative Yolanda Fountain Henson, my newfound friend. Did I say it right? Henderson, yes, my newfound political friend. I like to be a friend to political leaders. We never know what we need from the things that you do and you provide for the community. The other day, a young lady came up to me and touched the hem of my garment and said, Pastor, I need a space. I need a place for a forum. I need a platform. I'm out here working for the people. I want the violence to stop. That's all she had to say. And I told her, St. Paul doors are open to you. I present Precious Jones, the chairwoman of Mamas Against Homicide, as she comes and lead us this evening in this discussion. Give her a hand.
Hello. My name is Precious Jones, and this was a call of action, call to action meeting. It was planned very quick, and as the pastor said, he opened the doors, and I was very grateful for that because I, asked if I can have the meeting, and when he said what date, I was a little shy to say because it was like the next week. So he said yeah, and I was really grateful for it. I was hoping for a larger turnout, but that's okay because the people that are in the building can still get some solutions and some things done. So grateful that everybody came out who's here. We do have some of our panelists on Zoom. I don't know if we can see them on Zoom, but we do have some of our panelists on Zoom. So at this time, I'm going to ask the resource vendors that I asked to come out with resources to come up so that you can talk about your resources and what you have to offer for the community. Wiley, you can come up for Senator May, right? Yep. Yep. Okay, so if our resources want to come up, Miak, Ruby's Ray of Hope, A Second Chance at Life, Bobby for BGP. And then y'all can talk about the resources that you have. So this is one of the residents, but you can give those resources out. And if you need resources, we do have a link on our website, which is meoc618.org, how you can get in contact with us to volunteer, or if you just need intake services. I am the case manager, so you would go through me to get your services, and I would assist you with being connected with some of our resource officers as far as like de-escalation in the community. We do that as well. So thank you guys for your time, and I'll pass out some flyers and cards in case you wanted to get in contact with me.
Good evening. My name is Paris Belk, and it is an absolute honor for me to introduce you guys to Ruby's Ray of Hope Foundation. Ruby's Ray of Hope Foundation is a nonprofit organization that empowers individuals and families impacted by domestic violence. Our mission is clear. We want to restore hope, restore stability, and empower individuals to reclaim their lives. So a couple of services that we provide. So we provide safe transitional housing to help women who are fleeing domestic situations. We provide a workshop to help them restore life skills, build those life skills, and to also help them to learn how to live a safe and free life. We also offer counseling services and group workshops to kind of help them with restoring their self-confidence and learn how to feel safe again. So Those are some of the services that we provide, and we know that there's a lot of information out there about domestic violence. But I just want to share something with you guys, because I know Precious is a key advocate for gun violence, but I want to do something to kind of correlate domestic violence with gun violence, if you guys allow me to. So, access to guns makes it 5 times more likely that women will die at the hands of a domestic partner. Nearly 6 million women report having guns used on them by an intimate partner. 46% of nearly all mass shootings, with 4 or more people killed by the perpetrator shot, is an intimate partner. Nationally, 848 women are fatally shot by their domestic partner each year. Of female intimate partners, homicide victims are 69% are killed, 69% of them are killed by guns. In the U.S., 77% of all intimate partner homicides are gun violence or women. Gun violence and homicides perpetrated by intimate partners are disproportionately impacted, or women impacted are particularly Black and Indigenous women. That's powerful. So I just want to say that violence is violence, and this community, Precious is doing amazing work. I actually was at the Wear Orange event for MIAT. I think it was back in May, if I'm not mistaken. So being out in the community and hearing these voices and seeing the impact and the people that are suffering is powerful. I myself am a child of a victim of domestic violence. That's how this organization was started. I lost my mom in 1990, causing me to have to raise 2 siblings, and there was absolutely no resources out there. So this is passion work, but it's work that is still needed almost 35 years later. So thank everyone that's here today to talk about this subject. I appreciate you, I respect you, and I hope that we can all continue to make a difference in the community.
I'm going to follow up after Paris there. What she does is incredible and wonderful, and we need more people like her. My name is Bobby, and I am with one of Precious's foundations, Breaking Generational Poverty. I joined up with Precious when we met at a retreat for mothers who had lost children. We were in a small group of mothers who had lost children, specifically all sons, to gun violence. This is my son Griffin, right here as well. That's Precious's son Tink, if you don't already know. And I wanted to go after Paris because we've discussed this. Domestic violence, everyone thinks it's about women being victims. It's not. And that's something that I am here to share under the umbrella of Breaking Generational Poverty, because I guarantee you, in every single community, no matter what zip code, there are men who are being abused, who are being manipulated, who are being coerced, whether it be emotionally, financially, or physically. But men don't believe that they can be victims of domestic violence. And I found out the hard way that the St. Louis Metropolitan Police didn't believe that either. So that is my personal mission, along with everything else that we're doing here, obviously. But I would like to make a safe community for men to feel comfortable coming forward and saying, hey, this is abuse, this is a crime, this is violence, this is not helping. And unfortunately, females get away with a lot of things just because that's the way it is. And I think back to Paris, when your mother was experiencing the same issues, how hard it was for her back then. And I think that that's where it is right now with men. You know, people don't want to believe. So my son not only was a victim of domestic violence, but led to his death by gun violence. So it's not always women, it's also men, and that is one thing that concerns us very greatly here. Paris spoke about, you know, if there's a gun in the home, statistics. There's a lot of statistics about female domestic violence, and a lot of those apply to the males as well. And with everything we've gone through this summer, the tornado, chaos everywhere, tempers are rising. People need to know how to handle their feelings, control themselves. If they're not in control of themselves, they need to know that there's help available and that they don't just have to figure it out. So that's what we want to be here for, among many, many other things. But that is my little speech on what I believe would do quite a bit to help with the problem of gun violence.
I'm Jim Wilfred, and I'm here on a different topic, but Precious has brought me in to be able to spread my news. My son died of fentanyl 2 years ago, and I didn't know what that was. I didn't know anything about it. But as I started learning, I started finding out that a lot of people didn't know what it is, and that a lot of people were dying when they didn't even know it was taking it. And so I looked for people to join in with that must be doing something about this, but I couldn't find anybody in St. Louis. So I started a Second Chance at Life, and while I want to do a lot of things, what I do primarily now is I do advocacy. I set up booths, and I just tell people about it, and I show their pictures, like these pictures here, and I show the numbers and the statistics, because people really don't understand what's going on out there and how bad it is. I've involved myself with the legislation and helped to get some of these laws passed. I want to open up sobriety homes. I'm not there yet. And I want to get the education into the schools. So there's becoming to be a big push for that now too, and I'm going to jump on that wagon. This fentanyl is something that we've never had before, and it's like no other. And the amount of people that's died from this already, they deserve to be remembered, and things need to be done. So, and I was thinking, if I could think of one thing the city of St. Louis could do that might make things a little better, is find the little guys too. The guys at the bus stop, the guys that's just peddling one here or there, the guys outside the corner markets, you know, find them too, not just the big guys. And one last thing I'll say is, if you ever know somebody who lost a child of fentanyl, don't think that means they're a bad parent. I've had that said to me. That's because you didn't parent correctly. Anybody could lose anybody to fentanyl. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted those organizations to speak about their missions, because we know that the issues over in Arlington Grove Apartments and the surrounding areas, they are collectively, each person that spoke is something that was going on over there. And my mission is never to arrest. That's not my first line of defense. My mission is never to say, oh, we'll snatch up these people. My mission is always, let's deal with the core. How can we help them make different choices? How can we work with law enforcement to understand that everybody does not need to be in a cell, that everybody does not need to be in jail, everybody is not a criminal, everybody is not bad. Some people are dealing with a whole lot of things, a whole lot of trauma. We have parents that's never addressed their own trauma, and they raised their children on trauma that they were raised on. So I want to be very clear about that. My message is never to say, let's arrest. My message is always let's help, let's confront with love and open ears and open mind and open hearts so that we can help our community thrive and grow. So that's my message. So I would like all our legislators to just kind of introduce themselves, and I guess the piece of legislation, like explaining to the people what you do, and if they needed to reach out to you if they felt that they was not being heard, because the calls came to me, so I felt like, let me get the leaders, the other leaders on the legislature side, which I did invite law enforcement. I invited a plethora of people to be here, and we see who did show, and just a week's notice or a few days' notice. So that means a lot because all of these people are extremely busy in their districts. This is not their only place, so everybody stopped what they was doing to show up. So when you go vote, remember these faces too. So if everybody can, wherever you want to start.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm State Representative Dale Taylor. I actually represent this area. Representing this area literally means that I grew up here. I grew up just down the street, and it's sad to see the transition that my community has gone through. My parents bought the house at 5720 Julian, and that's Julian right there. So I grew up on the next block. When I was about 3 years old, we used to walk to the Wellston Loop. There was a library at the Wellston Loop. Big box of Tinker toys that I would check out, and I would build and erect different things with them. But now our community has seen so many decades of decline that we are wrestling firsthand with so many different problems. It's not going to be an easy problem to fix. You see some investment, we see some people moving back into the neighborhood, you see some items, but it is a much larger issue, and the state is playing a small role, and my role as a state representative is really to take a closer look at what funding, what things is the state doing. I actually try and help. I recognize different organizations. In fact, our own St. Paul Saturday here has a very successful boys mentoring organization. I got the state to help them to continue supporting that for a couple of years. But then, as of recently, our governor has vetoed so many much-needed programs that are demonstrating success across the board. St. Paul Saturday, I want to say, is probably 40, is it, how long past it? 41 years of building young men like former Representative Mr. Price back here. Proven success in our communities, and yet, and they may argue, oh, we're getting into lean years. I don't buy that, and I think that's part of the importance of having knowledgeable individuals that are going to the House and debating these items in the Budget Committee, that Missouri's economy is actually relatively strong. Our revenues might be plateauing a little bit, but they're plateauing because our Republican friends keep cutting taxes. So they may argue, oh, we need to cut services, but even then, many of these services are federal dollars that we have been getting years and years to try and fund different programs like our youth mentoring, which directly addresses what are these young men doing, what are their role models, what are they doing on Saturdays, putting expectations in them that we expect more from you. We expect you to go to college. We expect you to be leaders in your community. That's what St. Paul Saturday and so many other boys mentoring organizations are doing. They're doing that right now, and yet our state is cutting some of the funding there. So how do we address this? I'm a little stymied, because if the state would cut successful programs, long-standing track records of success, I'm not exactly sure what success we're going to have in next year's budget. But we'll keep fighting. We'll keep working on that. Another committee that I work on that is very important is the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Task Force. In fact, I serve on that with Senator May. That task force is challenged with looking at the $300 million that the state of Missouri does spend on different programs. We spend money on programs in corrections. We spend money in programs, certainly in mental health, as you would expect, and social services, but there's also programs in elementary schools. There's a lot of these programs, and the question is, what are they? How long have they been functioning? And how effective are they? And that's really my role in that committee. We've published a couple of reports. If you see me afterwards, I can funnel those to you. You can actually see directly how much money they've been getting, what programs they've been funding. The question now is how successful, how effective are those programs? And that's really my role on the task force, is to really drill into what are you doing, how are you servicing, not just my community, but the state itself. How effective are you? Do you need more? Are there gaps? Are there things like fentanyl and opioid treatment that we are seeing success in that we might need to continue further funding? So those are two items. And the last piece that I'll end with, not necessarily the best news, but your Democrats do file a number of bills for gun legislation. Our Republican colleagues won't even bring it to committee. They don't even want to hear it. They don't want to have the very most basic discussions around guns in the homes of domestic abusers, individuals that may have restraining orders against them issued by a judge. I've been filing this bill for a couple of years, and yet I've got, sometimes I get a hearing, sometimes I don't. My colleagues file bills. We don't come to the floor. I think where we need your help is advocating. I see Precious in the Capitol quite frequently. Write letters. As you see hearings are coming up, you can write your own opinions and send those as written testimony. We read those. Representative Henderson and I read those when we're on the floor, and when we're standing up giving our comment and speaking on the floor, we actually comment and use your exact words. So I'm going to ask you all to please continue to advocate for funding for substance abuse prevention, legislation on guns, and the other funding across the board in our communities. Thank you all.
I'm Megan Green, president of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, and I want to first thank Precious for reaching out and inviting me and always sharing your testimony. Every time I hear you speak, I can't help but get kind of teary-eyed. Walking in today, the first thing I noticed was how many of the folks in these pictures are young people, right? And that needs to say something to us as a community, right, about where we are letting our community down, and I think that's very much with our youth. I was talking to Representative Del Taylor about how, a couple days ago we had that horrible story in the news of that Uber driver that got hijacked, and it was a 15-year-old kid who did it. And the thing that goes to my mind, as Precious said, is not that kid needs to be locked up, it's how did that kid get to a place where they felt like that was their only choice, or that was the acceptable thing to do. And so our role as people in government need to be to figure out what is that intervention so that kid never gets to that place of picking up that gun and thinking holding up that Uber driver is the thing that we should be doing. So one of the things I'm really proud about that implemented about 3 years ago now in the city of St. Louis is the Office of Violence Prevention. And the goal of that office is to get at those root causes, to get at youth violence, to get at substance abuse and domestic violence, and be concentrating on what we can do to prevent crime, not just react to it by sending an officer after a crime has already occurred. And I credit that office and the work that it has done in the reduction in crime that we've seen in our city. Earlier this year, it came out that we are at a 20-year low for crime in our city. Do we still have a long way to go? Yes, we do, but we are making really good strides, and it's because we're putting real investments into community and trying to address the root causes and not just locking folks up, letting them out, thinking they're going to, somehow change behavior and have different outcomes. I want to highlight one of the projects that I've gotten involved with this summer, and that I think is a testament to what crime prevention can look like for our youth. And that is the Tiny Homes project that Arian Johnson has been doing. They have a graduation coming up tomorrow night that I'm looking forward to being at. Arian had a vision of saying, you know what, we have people impacted by the tornado who need homes. I know how to build them, and we have kids who need things to do. So let's bring this all together. And they've been able to build quite a few tiny homes. I went and toured a few days ago. They're working on a much larger home now, and they think that they're able to build one to two a week, because they have kids that, started showing up a couple days and got really invested and interested in them. And so he's teaching them how to be carpenters. And was able to connect him with the Carpenters Labor Union here in the hopes that we can get those kids after they graduate into an apprenticeship program, into a living wage job, because that is crime prevention in and of itself. And one of the things that I think is also great about that program is he's been working to expand the horizon of the kids that are engaged in it beyond just building and construction. When I was there 2 days ago, he had brought in, I forget the name of the group, but they taught kids how to build remote control cars and then race them. And so he was building, engineering skills in them. And what he told me is that his vision is to try to get a different group like that in there every week, so that we can expand the possibilities and find what is interesting to kids. And taking this back to the city of St. Louis, this is really what I hope that we can get our rec centers to do. Not every kid is involved in sports, right? And so rec centers work great for some kids who want to show up and engage in those kinds of activities, but we have just as many kids that would like to learn computer programming or how to build things, or artists, illustration skills, things like that. And so I think the place that we need to be going as a city is, how do we invest more into our recreation centers to expand what recreation means, so that we're offering a variety of programs that interests a lot of different kids. Because what we've also been seeing recently is a lot of kids congregating downtown on the weekends, right? And I look at that and I see that's a byproduct of us not having cool, fun, engaging places for kids to go, right? And that's, I think, a task for the city, because if we don't make places for kids, they will make them for themselves. And it won't always be the most productive places to be if we're not doing it. But we have to make sure there are things that kids actually want to do. We can't just create spaces and say, hey teens, you go over here, because we know, the rebellious teenage nature, right? I also want to speak to the great work that community organizations like Freedom Community Center are doing in trying to break the cycle. So when there are folks who are incarcerated, working on reentry so that we don't continue to see that cycle perpetuate, because too often folks end up in jail, sometimes even just awaiting trial, waiting their day in court can sometimes take a year or more. And that is a year that you are out of the workforce. It is a year away from your kids. It's a year not providing for your family. And so our goal has to be making sure that we are not keeping people in jail that are not a risk when they are waiting for bail. And two, that we, when folks do come out of the system, that we are providing adequate resources so that they don't go back. And not just to them, but to their family, who is often very impacted through the incarceration as well. And then the last thing I want to say that kind of dovetails to Representative Taylor's remarks. In the city, we often feel like we're fighting with two hands tied behind our backs. We are preempted at the state level from passing any legislation that has to do with guns. We cannot regulate them locally in any way, shape, or form. Guns have more rights than people in our state. And that puts us at a severe disadvantage when we are trying to decrease crime, because we know a lot of times if there's easy access to a gun and temperatures are high and people are arguing or fighting, makes it that much more easy to get that firearm and act in the heat of the moment, rather than, you know, making it more difficult to get something where they might cool down, have to think about their actions before acting. Something that also is concerning to me in the state level that I think we also need to keep our eyes on is, so you probably know, local control of our police department was taken away from us earlier this year. Right now, I filed a lawsuit and then was joined by Mike Milton and Jamala Rogers in follow-up lawsuits as well. So we are challenging that law. We believe it is unconstitutional and it should be overturned. But what it did is it took away a lot of our authority to be able to enact public safety policies the way we want to see them locally, not the way that, you know, the governor or, you know, Republicans in Jefferson City want to see our police behave, but how, you know, our community wants to see policing. And, you know, we know that it took decades of fighting for us to get local control back, and our crime decreased under local control. And so to me, that's one of the biggest things that we need to be fighting for as well, because what we need here is different than outstate Missouri, right? And our community should have the same rights to determine how we are policed and what policing and public safety look like for us that communities in outstate Missouri have. And right now we don't have that. So I'm committed to fight that battle, in addition to ensuring that we continue to fund and expand the services of the Office of Violence Prevention, and support community organizations that are doing that work to engage with our youth, to get the guns out of their hands and instead get them into productive and meaningful activities that they want to do in the community. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is State Representative Yolanda Fonta Henderson. I was asked on this panel at the last minute, but that's okay. Okay, the youth. A couple of these babies here belong to me. When I mean to me, I serve on a school board that I've been on the school board, I think it's 22 years now, in the Jennings School District. So I know some of the history here. Back in, I'm going to say probably about 6, 7 years, I was carjacked from a young man. I had watered my gardens. I had 3 gardens at the time. I'm down to 2 now. And when I got back to the house, a young man asked me how to get to the park. So I was very upset with myself because it was signs saying, he said, come here, show me how to get there. And I just went right to him. And then when I turned around, I said, no, go this way. No, go this way. This will be shorter. I mean, when I turned around and put my hand down, he had a gun at my mid-cage. So I said, okay, I always remember, comply. Don't try to fight. So he told me, give me his keys, and I gave him the keys. Then he turned around and said, give me your cell phone. So I gave him the cell phone. And then after that, he got in my car. He couldn't start my car, and he asked me how to start the car. And then the voice told me to run. So that young man got caught in less than 30 days. He got caught. And I did not realize, I always have, I'm real close to the police department. And I said, where in the world did he see me? And he said, well, I'm letting you know, he's been watching. He lived down the street from me. So he had just got put out because he was, stealing from that particular home. So I followed the case, and then it was like 3 years. And then the judge, when I got to the courts, and he didn't know I was there, and before all this took place, I said, look, I'm letting you all know we are not related. He had the same last name as me, and which was Henderson. So they said, okay. So by that time, I found out this young man was only 18 years old. What are you doing with a gun? So I know sometimes people, it's the Christian thing to do, when he got sentenced, they asked me to speak, and I did speak, and I told him to clear my conscience and everything. I told him, I forgive you, but you're going to have to ask God also to forgive you. You can't go around, doing, placing guns at people and stealing from them. And the answer is, I found my own car. The police department said, you must have been watching, and I said, how can I? He had my cell phone. So, hearing that, I got some legislation that I'm trying to pass, and I know it's crawled before, we put it into place, and I'm willing to work on it with others. The first offense, that they have to do community service. The second offense, that you have to do community service with your parent. And the third one, you have to pay a fine. I'm not here to, I love children. I have to love children. I've been on the school board for 22 years, so plus. And what can we do? We all got to come together when it comes to this youth. To see this lineup, it hurts. It really does hurt. When it comes to that Uber driver, I drove Uber for 6 years. I went on and gave it up when I became a legislator because it was too much wear and tear on my car. And then some of my colleagues, my colleagues on Uber from our, it was like I call it the clique group. It was all ladies. We worked late at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then we come to our little huddle, here and stuff like that. And just to hear that young man that got carjacked from a 15-year-old, that was nerve-wracking. Then to ask him to drive him. So when they start talking about stuff in the cars, I used to always turn the table and say, you know what, we don't have no money on us. That's all we do is drive. We don't have nothing to do with it. So if you're thinking about doing something to us. But just to see and to hear that young man carjack someone, and then the next day you're right back at it, we got to do something. We got to reach the children. When we have different things, we understand in the school district that a lot of these children are going through something. And a lot of times, my teachers in the Jennings School District, they're called mom and dad. And they listen to them, they talk to them. I got one, she be telling me what she's going through with different children. And some of the children, when they do crime, she knows them, and it hurts. So I am willing to do what we can do. And then when it comes to the fentanyl, I met you up in Jefferson City. We got to do something. We got to be able to reach our children. We got to find out what the signs are. I'm on the school board, but I do walk. I do participate. I do show these students that I care. I go to their events. I go to, and they are good performers. I'm being honest with you. They're really good performers. I'm there in the front with my, cheering them on and everything. And then when they walk down the street, I give every child that respect. And I say, hello, how you doing, girl? How was school today? Hello, gentlemen. And that's what I do. I don't call him boy, I don't call him girl. I only call my brother boy, he calls me girl. But when it comes to those students, just to see a smile. One of the students was running late, knowing she's supposed to be at school at 8 o'clock. It's cheerleader tryouts. And she said, Miss Yolanda, I hate to ask you to, can you please take me to the school because I'm running late? And I said, hold on a minute. I grabbed my keys, threw her in the car. I'm not like that, put her in the car and got her there. Stuff like that. They know who I am. So, to get to know them, they call me Miss Henderson. They call me Miss Fountain, or they call me, from one of my granddaughters, you know, that's Khalil's grandma, that's Martrez's mama and stuff like that. But I think, you know, my question I always say, where is the love? Where is the love? I try to show those students, I try to encourage them. I never say you a bad kid. I never tell them that. I say, you know what, you did really good. So that gets them smiling. And then before I sit down, I had a teacher, and he's gone to glory. He used to listen to these kids talk about another child. Then he used to ask this question. Okay, what is a good thing about Joe? And then they get to talking about that, and then before you realize, the negativity is gone. So we need to show, you know, we can do our best to show love, but I'm not for, you know, throwing the kids in jail and everything, but we got to do something. The parents gonna have to start stepping up, because I don't want us to be bearing any children, because I had one of my residents tell me, they keep on, I'm gonna take them out of here. I don't want to hear that. I don't want that, but we have to do something. And thank you for having me.
Good evening. So I guess I'm State Senator Carla May, 4th Senatorial District. I'm going to address the audience. How many of you live in St. Louis City? Okay. And are you here tonight because you're concerned about crime in your area? Okay. And so the community, for me, the way we need to do it, from my opinion, is communities are not talking to each other. Blocks and neighbors are not communicating with each other. When you have a divided community and I don't know the person next door, or I don't have a relationship with the people on my block, then that's how the enemy comes in and steals from you on the block. You not wanting to talk to your neighbor and not get to know them, you'll know their family. You'll know if that person that's on their porch stealing packages is actually the person that's supposed to be there. So I always like to go back to how I grew up. And the blocks that I grew on, everybody knew each other. You know, I always talk about my grandmother's block too, because we used to spend a lot of time with her. I can tell you about a lot of state legislation and policy, but that's not your answer. That's not going to help you. That's not going to solve your problem. And I've been a lot of these meetings over 16 years, and the most significant thing I find out about people are you're isolated. And that's why you're taken advantage of. You walk down the street. I was walking in the hospital down the hallway, and people were walking past, and I said hello. People so absorbed, they keep going, they don't even speak anymore. See, my people was from the South. And when I go down to the South, I go down there and stay about a month every time the legislature is over, because they're so friendly. People help each other, they talk to each other, they say hello, they speak. And what you're having in these neighborhoods, I knock on one person's door, I say, do you know Miss Jones next door? Not really. You share a fence. You don't know each other. And so that's why our communities are vulnerable. If you want to resolve the issues in your community, if you want the DNA of your block to change, then you the answer. You need to call meetings on the block. Remember the block parties when you was growing up? We had block parties. The people, the parents on the block used to get together, block off the street, and the kids would come down the street and play. And they had all these games, and they would make hot dogs and all of that. So the kids became close to each other, and we knew each other. And so that's another form, because when you know somebody, the kids can protect each other because they know who is outside of their community and not supposed to be there. And if a child knows you and have a relationship with you and you speak to them, they're going to trust you and tell you things. That's how the community is strengthened. I watched my mom do it. She used to come outside. My mom was the block unit captain. She was an organizer. She was president of the parent teachers conference. All of that. She used to get the kids in the block, and she used to bring out brooms and rakes and say, "Come here, son, I need you to rake these leaves. Get over here. You pick up that trash right there." That's how my mom used to come out the house, talking to everybody's kids. Everybody's kids. So, we're so busy minding our business that people are coming in and destroying our communities. Just by saying hi, we can have conversation about what's going on our block. How do we make our block beautiful? How do we make our block safe? These are conversations that I think everybody would want to have. And the Urban League has the Federation of Block Units. You can go to the Federation of Block Units or call them and tell them to help you set up a block unit on your block so that your neighbors can come together. Some of the strongest blocks in my community are the ones that have block units. They invite me to their block unit meetings on their street, and they deal with issues on their street, whether it's bumps, whether it's grass that's not cut, whether it's beautification. Some of the people get together and they plant flowers. They take turns in the summertime. Who got it this summer? Who's going to do it next summer? So I think that's your answer. We can sit here all day in these communities and listen to politicians talk. I call myself a public service, but I always tell people, God created government, but the devil created politics. And you got to remember that. The devil's all in the details. That's how we're going to solve our communities. That's how we're going to solve the problem. It's not in separation, but it's in community. And community means that community talks to each other. I'll never forget when I was running for one of my campaigns. In this house, I smelled the barbecue. And they had all these people in the backyard having the barbecue, and I saw them lining up at the grill. So I just got a plate and lined up at the grill. And the guy at the grill said, "Well, I don't know you. Who are you?" I said, "I'm your cousin." That's what I told him, "I'm your cousin." He was like, "Who's she related to?" That's what the guy at the grill. You get me? And then I told them who I was, and that's when I was running. I was state representative. I was running for re-election, and then I just sat down with the whole family. We had a whole conversation on that block. You follow me? So we can't be afraid to come together, and we got to stop being judgmental. We always judging other people's kids. So and so got these bad kids. That's not it. It's like, to me, when I was teaching, what they call the bad kids was the kids that needed more responsibility. They needed somebody to pay attention to them. So my bad kids, I would give them responsibilities. I say, "Listen," "Look, Stephen, this is what I need you to do. I need you to make sure that everybody has a pencil, but you got to make sure all the pencils are sharpened." I said, "I need all the crayon boxes to have all the right colors in the boxes." He would come in, and he was so proud of that responsibility that he was doing it. They was telling me he couldn't sit still and pay attention. That's because it just wasn't his thing to sit still and pay attention. It was his thing to do work, to be responsible for people, to govern. That's what I saw in the kid. You get me? I ain't let him sit there 15 minutes. He wired. He ready to go, and he being disruptive, and he started beating up the other kids or something. But if I gave him something to do, I said, "This is what Stephen's going to do. I need you to go down the hall to do this," or whatever. He was good at doing things like that. So when I see children, I always walk up on the corner and talk to them. I say, "Come here. Tell me how I can help you. Tell me what you're getting ready to do. What your future look like? What is it that you want to do? What information can I give you? What direction do you want to go in? Why is it I don't know your name and you live across the street from me?" It just don't make sense to me. So I'll just tell you about this one fund that I created, and it helps about 5 areas of the state. It's called the Economic Distress Zone Fund. And I don't think we funded it this past session. I think my staff left. He snuck out when I came in. So I don't think we funded it this past session. But when the year before that, we put about $2 million in there, and it was for nonprofit organizations that were helping to reduce crime. And the way they were helping to reduce crime was by having any educational opportunities. And it was very tailored. It was for areas that had over 20% poverty, had deteriorating infrastructure. We tailored it so that it can fit those communities that actually needed it. And so these organizations apply for that funding to the state, to their organization, especially if they're doing things that take kids off the street and help reduce crime in that area. So, you know, my message to communities is let's do community, you know. And I know you heard the old, you know, phrase, you know, the change that you're looking for is you. You get me? That's the change you're looking for. And the way we get elected is we're going door to door, knocking on doors. Why is it I walk on your block and I know the people on your block and you live there every day? It's weird to me. Well, you mean tell me you haven't talked to someone? No, I don't know them. Well, why didn't I go get them? I say, come on. And I'm going across the street. That's how I am. I'm a bringer together. So I think we need to bring together. You might not get everybody, but I bet you'll get a significant amount of people on the block who care about the block, who care about safety, who care about people being able to walk down the street and catch the bus if they have to catch the bus, who can say, listen, you know, I'll never forget when my son was a little kid. I had to be at work at 8 o'clock. The bus was late. The bus was late. And this older gentleman, the house was on the corner. He said, you ain't got to worry about your boy. I see him and watch him all the time. And it was okay for me to leave my child there on that bus stop because that man made me feel safe enough to leave him there because I had to be at work at 8 o'clock so that I can feed him. So that's my message tonight. If you're asking me what to do, I'm going to tell you it's all about you bringing the community together, block by block by block. That's how we strengthen communities, and that's how we strengthen families. Thank you.
Okay, so he's gonna bring up Sonia Gray with the Police Board of Commissioners to introduce herself and the role of the board. And then after that, it'll be open for the questions from the residents.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I apologize for not being present. However, my husband's mom passed away, and we are on the highway. Route to South Carolina. But I wanted to make sure I had this opportunity to introduce myself to you and share with you a little bit about the Board of Police Commissioners. The Board of Police Commissioners has strategic oversight for the St. Louis Police Department. Our role is the governing authority with ultimate responsibility for the direction, policy, and accountability of the department. With regards to policy and governance, we establish the department's policies, regulations, and rules of conduct. We approve major operational initiatives and long-term strategic priorities. The commission consists of 4 commissioners that were appointed by the governor. And in addition to that, the mayor of the city of St. Louis. I think I got lost. I think I got lost. Am I back? Okay. The board commission going in and out. Commissioners. Hello. Okay. The-
So she was breaking up, so they muted her. But now we can have the questions from the people in the audience who has concerns. You can express your concerns, the solutions you're looking for, and the reason that this was called. So you can line up here. And please be respectful.
I think I'm back now. Hello. Okay. The commissioners are represented by citizens from within the St. Louis. It is very important. The commission reaches out to it by way of our public committee. I think I'm going to end my presentation now. But I am open to.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a resident of the 13th Ward, specifically Arlington Grove Apartments. I do have a major concern about safety and violence in the 13th Ward, not just in the apartment complex, but definitely a large concern in the complex. I have reached out to McCormick and Barron, and I have not gotten any resolve there. I've reached out to our alderwoman, Pamela Boyd. I have not gotten any resolve there. I have spoke to neighbors, as you suggested. I have spoke to like so many people in the McCormick and Barron family to where I just feel like it's deliberately being ignored. I have started with management of the apartment complex. I went from there to her department head. I went from there to the corporate. I went from there, I talked to specifically Deanna Perkinson. Before I talked to Deanna Perkinson, all of my emails and my phone calls were being ignored. They were never being returned. I never got any feedback from McCormick and Barron. I have physically walked into the office and talked to the apartment manager. I have talked to Deanna over the phone. I've never seen her personally. I have major concerns. I do believe that we need to be proactive and not reactive. Again, the situation that's going on in the apartment complex and the surrounding areas is a cumulative effort for crime, and that concerns me. I have children, I have young men, I have grandchildren. I come and go. You know, I don't want to be a victim of some things that could have possibly been avoided. I don't want my grandchildren are not allowed to play in the playground in Arlington Grove because we do have young men walking around with military-style guns on the property during days, evenings, nights. It's always an issue, and it has been an issue. I have been there for 17 months and counting, and this has been an issue from day one. So I can't speak about what went on before, but it's so done so openly, I just can't believe anything it's ever been another option that concerns me. I heard gunshots all day. I heard gunshots every night. My granddaughter, she's 9 years old. She's traumatized from the gunshots. So she doesn't spend nights in my home anymore. And that bothers me because I have a relationship with my grandchildren. But it hurts to hear my granddaughter say, Nanny, I don't want to come over your house because I don't want to hear those gunshots, or I'm scared I'm going to get shot. That bothers me. And I hadn't had any assistance from the community, any assistance. And when you speak about talking to your neighbors, I think that's a great thing because I was raised in the 70s and the 80s and everybody knew everybody. Our neighbors told on us. We got in trouble by the neighbors. We got in trouble by my mother. Then we got in trouble by my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So that's a village, and we need to bring those villages back. However, the parents nowadays, these are 80s and 90s babies, they push back on the village. So you can't create a village for people who don't want it and people who deliberately refuse to be a part of it. So my question is, what are we doing in the now to help combat this problem that we're having? We got prostitution all up and down Martin Luther King. We have loitering on the gas station lot continuously. I have never seen police ride through Arlington Grove or ride up and down those streets until after I contacted Precious. Once I contacted her and she used her resources, I continuously saw that. However, there's still no help, no assistance. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens when they see the police? What they gonna do? Run. I am.
And it's owned by an apartment, so you're paying rent to them.
I am.
It's private. And on the ground, you said individuals are carrying automatic weapons on the ground.
They are.
Okay. Well, you know, we might be able to do something about that. That part.
So McCormick and Barron states that there is an open carry law in the state of Missouri, which is a fact. However, in the lease agreement, there is a clause that says no weapons are allowed on the property.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. If it's a private property, it don't matter. Just like you can't carry, I don't care if you can't carry a weapon in the courthouse. You can't carry some places, you know, like grocery stores and no weapons. It's an open carry, but at the same time, there's still some things that you can do.
Absolutely.
And in that right there, that's private property, people are paying rent to them, so they can require that none be on their property. Now, it's a little fine line. Like I said, we need to look into that part. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yes.
That's what we can do with that. And if it's in the lease, then are these people that are there live in the building?
So I'm going to say this. They are related to the head of the household. So as the head of a household in McCormick and Bear, I've read this lease. I can run it to you. You are responsible for the people in your household and the company that you bring.
Absolutely. So basically, absolutely. So if you're making complaints about a person and they're creating an unsafe environment for the rest of it,
Very unsafe.
we can have a conversation, but I'm willing to do a letter to, actually I know the person at the top, so I'm willing to do a letter.
Thank you.
That, maybe we can get something going where we can keep the environment in which you live in your apartment building and the surrounding areas. Because guns are not toys.
Absolutely.
I don't understand why kids walk around with automatic weapons. They're not toys, but I don't understand why the parents allow it anyway.
Me either.
And if so that's my question. To me, that we need to start passing laws that give parents, with anybody that's under the age of 18 or 17, it's the responsibility of the parents.
Absolutely.
So if we can't control the kids, then we have to start controlling the parents.
I agree. Thank you for that. So my question basically is like, what are we doing now to help with that situation? And I know it's not just on the west side of St. Louis, but the 13th Ward, again, like you mentioned, Senator, that the 13th Ward has really diminished over the years. And I don't see any cleanup in action. I don't see any, and when I say that, I'm saying the things that cause the crime to be so prevalent. You know what I'm saying? Because if the officers ride up and down Martin Luther King, whenever they come, I don't know when it is, they ride right past them. So I don't know what they can and what they can't do, but what I do know that it is a present day problem. It's a problem. It's then went farther than the issue. It's a problem. And we need help over here. Pam Boyd needs help. Thank you.
Earlier this year, we had some issues over at Homer G. We sent a letter over there. Residents and same thing, had not been able to get a response. It's sometimes amazing if they get a letter from their elected officials, they pick up the phone like that. And so we were able to get a meeting and get some of their issues worked out. And the other thing I'll do, let me get your contact information afterwards, because another organization that's been helpful over at Homer G is Tenants Transforming St. Louis, because sometimes what you gotta do is that organizing to really get the attention of management. And once they start to see, oh, this isn't just, one or two people complaining, we got a whole host of folks here who are mad about these situations, and they start to pay a little bit more attention. So I can get you in contact with them as well. I found them to be a really good partner.
Let me just say this real quick. I'm sorry, Tam. Let me just say this real quick. I was not being disrespectful when I said Ms. Boyd need help. I spoke to Ms. Boyd. Ms. Boyd said it's a lot. She's an elected official. This is her district. This is what she signed up for. So she needs help.
There are a number of resources out there, and I didn't hear you mention the neighborhood stabilization officers. Did you talk to them?
This is my first time hearing about neighborhood stabilization, so I wasn't aware, but I will. I'm more than willing.
And then the city, funds a number of different organizations like Cathedral and so
Good evening. I'm Tam Coleman. I too am a resident of the 12th Ward. I'm not a resident of Arlington Groves, but I'm a resident born and raised in the neighborhood. You all say it's an open carry law. You can't do anything about them walking the streets. I have an issue with not only Arlington Grove, I have an issue with Crown gas station. 2 weeks ago, I'm inside the gas station with my grandchildren. I'm at the ATM, they pulling, they tugging, and they screaming granny. I look up, they're coming in with rifle, automatic weapons. They're laughing and talking with the attendants of the gas station. If my home gets too many police calls, I can have an emergency, I can have a sick person. If I call 911 too many times, I'll get a nuisance. The gas stations have carjacking, shooting, drug sales, murders, and they get to change their name and continue business. It's not fair. Arlington Grove has created a problem that the city is ignoring. I'm sorry I didn't get your name, I heard you mention OVP. If you know OVP, you know about this problem. And I say that because they hang outside of the Arlington Grove apartments and they hang at the gas station. Not to talk to the kids, not to find out about the crime, but to interact with the crime. That's what OVP does in the neighborhood. I reached out to Pamela Boyd, I reached out to Arlington Grove Apartments, I still haven't heard anything. But what happens when the kids who play on the playground behind the gangway, that they sell drugs, that they carry guns, that they do God knows what.
Are you going back on? Are you going back on?
Okay, that they do God knows what it. The playground is literally maybe 15 feet. This is a problem. This is a everybody problem. Miss May, I heard you say get to know your neighbors. I know a lot of people in that ward. I was born and raised. I go all the way back from Joanne Wayne. As Mia said, the village ain't the village no more. My street, I know the neighbors in my block. The crime is in the next block. I'm not walking down to the next block to get to know the people. I sit on my porch, they walk around with semi-automatic weapons just for fun. What are we supposed to do? We're scared in our own homes. 2 weeks ago on a Sunday, a lady in her house, a bullet comes through her window.
In Arlington Grove.
Arlington Grove Apartments.
With minor children in the home.
It's a problem. It's a problem. If Miss Boyd needs help, and no disrespect to Miss Boyd needs to be here where the residents are that can help her. I don't mind helping. I have to live there. I talk to the kids, but they don't care. I'm afraid for them. I don't even let my grandkids play in a yard. A neighborhood that I grew up in, a safe neighborhood that I grew up in, my grandchildren can't play in a yard because a stray bullet may come from 2 blocks over. Then you got prostitution. It's a problem up and down Martin Luther King. They having sex on bus stops. After the clinic on Martin Luther King closes, it becomes a homeless hangout. If you go a little further and cross Hamilton before you enter Wellston, St. Louis City, they have a piano, a couch, and they have made a flea market. The police ride through there every single day and nobody says or does anything. This is our neighborhood. We pay taxes, so we're supposed to live like this and be okay with it. I heard someone say something about the charging the parents. If you don't get in the home and get to the parents, it's no need to reach the children. The problem starts in the home. I have a son that's been incarcerated 13 years. Not because I wasn't a good mother, it was because I was a mother who didn't think there was a problem with my growing up. So I didn't think I had to change anything about the things that I brought home because I didn't think that they affected me until later. So, traumatized parent, raising a traumatized kid, we doomed. If we don't get inside the homes, we're in trouble. Because the kids, the criminals are taking over our streets. And then you say, the community gotta be the community. No. This is not that day. We can't. We need help. We need the paid people to come in and do what they're paid to do. That's it. That's all. And it shouldn't be as hard as everybody makes it. I lived the life. I can tell you because I lived it. I know why the kid's angry because I was an angry kid. Ask the kid and stop assuming. Ask them why they're angry. Go by their house. Look at what's across the street. The city won't even cut the grass. I'll have an attitude if I walked out and had to see that every day too. So the city plays a big role of what's going on. While we finding the parents, let's sue the city for every child that lost their life on the city streets. Let's do that. How about that? Nobody cares until it's this. You're not exempt. You're not exempt. You're not exempt. You're not exempt. I'm not exempt from that same front row that Miss Precious had to sit on. Because bullets fly. It may not be your child, but it very well may affect them in some kind of way. Bullets travel. People rob people just because. They'll rob you. They don't care. They'll rob you. They'll rob you. They don't care. If we don't come together and get a grip on what's going on in our city, we can hang it up. We won't have a seat.
So I want to say, I want to address a lot of what she said. So when you say we got to get the people that's paid, the city has a responsibility to provide safety, but also these laws handcuff the police from doing their jobs. We have, I'm just
No, I'm saying the lawmakers are paid people, so we got to get the people that's
we are the
paid.
lawmakers. But let me give you, I just want to give you some reality.
Okay.
Because, you know, we got to talk about it in a real sense so that we can understand. And people always say, you know, well, I talk about getting involved, waking up the community, getting them to vote. Well, we're in a supermajority Republican state. Why? We didn't have to be. We was in a supermajority Democratic state for decades. But people stopped being responsible. People stopped participating. And so it flipped.
Because they stopped believing.
Well, you know, we can't never stop fighting. You get me? Because survival is survival. I can't stop being involved. I started being involved when I was 16 years. And yeah, it touched my family because my family had to do a double funeral. 2 first cousins killed, 2 boys, double funeral. So when we're talking about, so I understand what you're saying, but we're going to have to get the whole community around there to say, let's shut down the gas station.
Yes, that's what
You got me? We got to get all of those people, not just the people in the apartment building, because see, I did it before years ago. We had to get the whole community involved. We had to get a bunch of people, blocks and blocks of people who were willing to say, we're fed up with the environment in which we live. So we're still going to have to do it as a community, because if we try to do it individually, it's not going to work. And yes, the city is the biggest slum landlords since I've been in the city. I grew up in the city, grew up in Walnut Park, went to Northwest High School. This is not a new environment for me, but I understand what you're saying. But in order for us to change it, we're going to have to change it. When my mother started working in the community, she got people blocks and blocks and blocks. They got together. I remember they had all of these houses that were unlivable in the community. Do you know what they did? They got some of the men in the community, and they went in and had the kids and everybody to clean up the house, build it and made it livable, and put families in there and told the city to go on about their business. That's what they did to the houses. Them was some bold people back then. That's what they did. That's the environment I grew up in. You know, back when Acorn and those organizations were actually taking control of the community. So the people are the government. The whole system was set up as we, the people, are the government. But the people elect people and send them off to do policy is what we do. And we try to prevent all the bad policy we can from impacting our communities. But because we're outnumbered, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Because we're outnumbered in the state, we have these bad gun laws, bad laws. But we gotta start showing up in these people's face. Because I'm on the floor all the time. I'm a direct person. I don't mince words. But in order to get that done, we need to work on something like getting that shut down. Because if they're allowing it, they are the nuisance in the community, and we got to get the broader community. I don't have a problem with going knocking on doors, because that's what I do. And we need to get Mr. Till over there, because that's your district, right? Because it's no longer my district, but it's your district now. You know, my district got shifted south. But we can get together, and we can set up a plan to say that this is a nuisance. We can have a police department put up one of the police cameras right on the corner of that watch camera, right on the corner of that gas station. You get what I'm saying? Right there, get one of them flashing blue lights, pull it up. Pull it up. That means that the crime center is watching. We need to get that over there. And we have to, we can't be scared to go block to block, you know? And we need to get the church involved over there so they can get some of them girls who are out there doing their prostitution. We need to get them into some social services. But that's what we gotta do. It's still going to take community. I know y'all hate to say that, and I know these young people, whatever, but let me tell you, one summer I was bored. And so I went into the hood, just like where I grew up at. And I started just picking young men off the street. Young men and women. You know what I told them? I said, I just need you to take a chance on me. I put them in programs, in trades. Right now, them kids called me back. I had 26 of them placed. They still working today. They making more money than I made as a legislator. Them young people. I got them in there. I said, call me if you have a problem on your job, because I need to tell you how to think through it, because I knew that was going to be it. But it's still going to take us getting all of those other people involved. Now, this is how we help you. We mail out the letters to the people and call a community meeting over there. That's what we got to do. And we got to say we got a problem over here at this gas station. And I believe our police chief will be interested in these people, because they shut down Hall Street real quick.
Please, let me interject 1 second. Well, let me interject, because you right on time. We requested to have this meeting at Arlington Grove in the community room.
And we couldn't have it over there in the community room?
I asked Deanna personally. She's the president. I asked her personally. And she said, oh, let me look into it and I'll get back with you. Marissa, the manager, never replied.
Well, you know, it's a difference when you know.
Yeah. So
don't worry.
I personally asked her. I had a conversation with her on the phone. And as a resident, we are allowed to use their community room. But since it was for this purpose, they didn't want me to use it.
Don't worry about it. Because, see, I can frank right into Arlington Grove. I can mail into you can mail right into every apartment in the apartment complex and let them know the actions that we're taking. And another thing we have to tell people, the residents, we don't mean to be disrespectful, but I always tell people, see, I live in an apartment too. And I always tell people, when you live in a community, because I think an apartment is community, you got to respect the other people that live in the community. You can't make it uninhabitable for the other people that live in the community. And if you're making it uninhabitable, maybe community living, apartment living such as this is not for you. You got me? And those are the tough conversations we got to have with ordinary people. And see, I'm a straight shooter. I love it. You get me? And so I'm not afraid to have those conversations. And that's what we're going to have to do over there. So if the gas station is a problem, we're going to have to get it shut down. Remember the gas station on Page and Goodfellow? Y'all remember that got shut down? It ain't been open since. It's a mess over there.
So what about the big
Right. You get me? So those are some things that we're going to have to do. And I think, you know, I don't mean to, it's still going to take us working together.
And we're willing.
Can I say something quick?
So I wanted to say something too. I understand everything you said and it make a lot of sense. But when I started going up to the Capitol, because I had I was thinking just like you, what are these legislators doing? They up there, they not doing nothing, we not getting no bills passed. It took me to go up there and see They fight their butts off, but they outnumber. No. I'm saying I was thinking just like that too. Like, ain't no laws being changed, because in my mind I'm thinking if you up there, you're a policymaker, you basically go there and say, hey, this is what I want for my city put me in there, and this is what's happening. When I went up there, I saw we barely have representation. They have representation, and one thing that I did notice.
I can't sit here all night. I can't sit here all night.
One thing that I did notice is that even some of the Democrats, when it comes to something that's going to harm people in their community that look like them, they'll stick together with the Republicans to make sure it doesn't happen. We don't have a whole lot of representation in the Capitol. So when I went up there and I sit in session and I hear our legislators talking and fighting, and I'm literally in the chambers seeing the Republicans sitting, laughing, talking, having side conversations, while a whole nother legislator crying their heart out saying, my constituent in my city, blah, blah, blah. They're not even paying attention. They're not listening. And so that sparked something in me like, wait a minute, it's not all our legislators that's not doing what they're doing. Our community got to get up and say, let's go up there. Do you know how many times I've been to the Capitol and invited people to join me? As he said, he see me in the Capitol a lot. You see me in the Capitol a lot. I was one of the ones that was up there fighting for the police, for them not to take over. I asked people, come with me. I couldn't, it was one other person that came with me. I went to the Capitol and then had meetings up there. You didn't came up there with me. I didn't brought people, but it wasn't our community members. It was other people with professional titles. They need to hear from us who live in these communities. Look at this meeting. We all stopped when we was doing to come here. I don't live in Arlington Grove, but we all stopped when we was doing to come here, and we're the people. Like, we can talk about it all day long and we can put forth the effort, but the people gonna have to help themselves too. They don't get out and vote. They let 18% of the city speak for an entire city, and now when this tornado happened, they want 100% of the people to bust their boots, but y'all wouldn't even get up to go vote. So like, we really have to call them out. Yes, again, I am all for helping and coming with solutions, but we still have to call them out on their BS too, because y'all can't put all the problems off on us and we doing everything, and y'all won't even show up for a meeting. Even though we could not have that meeting in Arlington Grove, this is not far from Arlington Grove. If you worried about your safety and you really want to make some changes and you really about to step for your community, you would have hightailed your butt over here to be at this meeting. There's no reason this meeting should be like this. We have plenty of legislators here. We even have a representative with the police board of commissioners. So your answers could be answered just like she gave you a good solution. She's going to write a letter. She's going to, do a community meeting and all that. If we had even just a few of the people from the apartments, a few of the people from, a few blocks, it could happen. All it takes is for them to see that we taking our neighborhoods back. But if we don't take our neighborhoods back, but sit on social media, complain, sit on TV, complain, call people, complain, but then when we stop, because I got yelled at by one of the elected officials for having a meeting in her district, and she was upset, but I still did it. But if I'm gonna go through all of that and nobody show up, I feel like, what was the point? But it's not gonna stop me in my advocacy work, because I lost my own son. But I just need the community to know, like, along with saying what you want, you gotta put action behind your work. And if I'm inviting you to rooms, because I be in rooms, I really do sit with some powerful people. And if I'm inviting other people into that space, utilize the space. It's free. I'm not saying, oh, you got to pay $100 fee. I've never asked anybody for nothing. My thing, I network with everybody. I say, hey, can we carpool together? Can you drive and such ride with you? They won't even do that. We're offering you a free trip. And some of these parents that's up here, they ain't even go. Like, I mean, we have to, if we want better, we have to do better too. We have to lead by example. And again, it's gonna take to visit the Capitol for y'all to see. Our legislators be getting busy up there for us in these communities. It's just they outnumber. So my thing is, I wanna see more of us in that place, because That's where a whole lot of the action is, and that's where a whole lot of things can be changed. But if we outnumber, they don't care. They are from rural areas or other parts telling us what to do in our city. And you know why they do that? Because they know we're not gonna show up. But when I'm up there and it's something for their area, they come in busloads. They got the top gallery full, they got the side gallery, everything is full, because they gonna come up there and they gonna let them know what's not gonna happen in their community. Not what they don't want, or not can they not do it. They're gonna say this is not happening, and they're gonna get that. We don't have that because they know we don't show up. We can put 17 buses and say, it's 17 free buses that's gonna be at St. Paul AME to go to the Capitol, fight for this, and guess how many people gonna come? We probably gonna fill one bus, if that. Sorry, y'all, but that's my spiel.
Now let me tell you guys another way that you can become active and that you can become involved and educated about what's happening in your state, in your city. You gotta get involved with the state party. Now let me tell you about the way that's organized. The state party elect committee people to be on the state party, and it's 2 committee people for every Senate district. It's 34 Senate districts in the state, so 34 times 2 is what? Yeah, I do the math. So that's how many people sit on there. But it's open to everybody in the state. It's open to the public. They have all of these different groups. They got a women's group. They have give me some of these groups. They have a whole bunch of, the state party has a whole bunch of what we call different groups. They have a black caucus. They got a women's caucus. They have, they just got a whole bunch of different caucuses. All of those groups are the people that live in the state, and what they do is they bring their report to the people that's on the committee, and they read those reports. That's how you get involved. That's how you find out. They meet every quarter. It's like every 3 months, that meeting, and it's posted on the Missouri Democratic Party website. You can go to those meetings. They're free. You'll find most elected officials there. That's how you get information. That's how you start to, change. That's how you start to figure out what this puzzle looks like and how do we get in this puzzle. Now, from the ground up, we're gonna have to do a swell over there. Because as a committee person, that's what we do. We had to gather all the people you got in that community and get places shut down, because those places are the nuisance. Not the people that call should be the nuisance. And I know what you're talking about. You ain't got to tell me. A gentleman told me they put his house as a nuisance because he kept calling the police, and he took them to court on it.
Ambulance. You're gonna get an ambulance for a mental health patient, you're still gonna get a nuisance because there's too many police cars.
Yeah, that don't make sense. But we gotta fix that too. That's a city issue. Don't even get me started.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to make it fast as possible. My name is Francine Strain, and I am with the Federation of Block Units under the Urban League. First of all, my grandson is sitting right behind, I'm trying to think, Taylor. You know who I am. You know me, right? And yeah, I'm sorry. I just had a blank real quick. But when my grandson, at the age of 12 years old, was killed, accidentally shot with an AR-15, Carla May, you was one of the people that I called first. And the only thing you could tell me, the Republicans. We can't do none of the Republicans. And that kind of broke my heart. And I started my own grassroots organization, and it's gun safety awareness against children. But it's 2 things we have to do, and I've seen it happen from experience. You have to pick up that phone, and you have to show up. You have to pick up that phone. You have to start with the Citizen Service Bureau. What I did, and then on Hamilton and Wellston, when Captain Christie was in our district, her and Pamela Boyd would go there once a week with the truck and the garbage, with the trucks, garbage, the men, they would dump everything at Hamilton, tell them to take their stuff and go. But we don't have Captain Christie anymore. And I go to Pam, what's her name? Who you mentioned, our older lady. Boy, her exact words was, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Those was her exact words. And I'm with her on that because I see a lot of people showing up to complain, but with the Federation of Block Units, I've seen people, residents, and I've seen businesses taken to courts and shut down and put out or whatever. But people show up to complain, but when you put something on the table for people to show up and come on, let's come together, let's join together, it's power in numbers, and let's do what we have to do. Nobody shows up, like you said. And I've been to the Capitol. I went with Mom Demand Action, and you know who they are. And I've talked to Senator Bryant, a couple more of them in the Capitol or whatever, but anyway, but the main thing, you have to pick up that phone, you have to call the Citizen Service Bureau, you have to start a paper trail. And when I used to send out email, I would email Captain Chrissy, I would email the Citizen Service Bureau, I would email the alder lady, alderman, whoever, I would email everybody so they can't say they didn't get it because you all got it at the same time. And we go together with the Federation of Block Units, we have the meetings, and we want to know what's going on your block. How can we help you? Like I said, but people would come up to our meetings and they would complain when we say, okay, such a day, we come together as one. And we're gonna work on whatever problem you have. Your problem is my problem. Just because I don't live on your block doesn't mean I cannot help you with your problem. We come together as one. It doesn't matter what block you live on. But people need to show up and pick up those phones. And as far as the police officers, if you don't show that you care, what they care. Yeah, they pass right by and see just what you see probably. But if you're not calling the phone, you're not doing anything, you're not boots on the ground, we know about the boots on the ground. If you're not showing up, what they care for? They don't live there. And then a lot of people in Arlington Grove, like you said, it's the McCormick and Barons, they're the property managers. In the beginning, it was a big thing because Friendly Temple, yeah, that's my church, I love my pastor. They were supposed to be involved. Everybody was happy to see Arlington Grove come. And then, of course, you have the housing authority, they're involved too. But a lot of those people, some of those people that's there and have to be there, don't want to be there, a lot of them are afraid. That's true. A lot of them are afraid. So us that's not afraid, sometimes we have to speak up for them. I live around the corner from there. And that gas station, it seems like all the mobiles, I don't know what it is, the mobiles, and a lot of them, they switching over to what, Phillips 66? The Crowns and the mobiles, they've been flipping over. And the other day, my niece got put out of there because the guy was in there talking to one of the workers so bad, like, why you didn't do this, why you didn't do that? And he was like, because it's only me. I'm here by myself. Well, I have 15 stores. I got stores here and there. So we just have to come together. We just have to come together, We have to come together. Because we're not getting that old village back. We have to start our own thing. We're not getting that old village back. We don't even have enough houses on the blocks. And some blocks don't even have children on them.
Sonia Gray needs, can she jump in for a few to finish her presentation just for a few minutes because she's traveling? Go ahead, Sonia Gray.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you for letting me jump in. This is really important. And I had my husband pull off the side of the road. And so we just been waiting so we can get back on the road. But it's very important for everybody to understand the role of the Board of Police Commissioners. And what our role is with regards to this issue. And that is to be your voice. We listen to community concerns. And I've stayed on this call. Because I want to understand. And be able to take back to the commission what your issues are. Because one of the things that we have to do as the commission is to make sure we hear the voice of the community. We are not responsible for the day-to-day operations of the police department. However, we must ensure that governance with policies, procedures, budget, budget, and setting the rules. And so my being on this call, I'm making a commitment personally. I can't speak on behalf of the entire commission, but I can speak for myself. And I will be taking these issues back to the commission so that they are aware of what's really happening, boots on the ground. And I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Can you also write a letter to McCormick Group as well about? Thank you.
Okay, what was that again?
I'm sorry. Thank you. We just wanted to thank you for being on.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm gonna have to get back on the highway.
Okay, safe travels. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
Could I ask one question of you as well? Have you been in contact with your neighborhood improvement specialist at all? No? Okay. I'm gonna make sure that both of you are connected with your neighborhood improvement specialist. So I'll explain this. Every ward has a neighborhood improvement specialist. That is the person that they work through the Office of Neighborhood Stabilization, so CSB, whenever you call or email or tweet in a complaint, it's that office that takes care of citizen complaints. And that neighborhood improvement specialist is especially important when it comes to nuisance properties, because they are the only one that can start that investigation and ultimately that lawsuit that can shut down a nuisance property. And so they need to get involved in this. So I'll get both of your contact information and make sure we can connect you with that person so we can get the ball rolling on that. Because they're the only one with the authority to be able to start that process, and then it goes over to the city attorney, who will put they start by sending a warning letter. They have 90 days to fix the issues. If they don't do it, they can be shut down. And sometimes it takes a while. At a gas station that was 2 blocks from me, it took us 7 years. It should not have taken 7 years to get that thing shut down.
We don't want our gas station shut down.
You want the nuisance
to be threatened and maybe because we need it. If we shut out, we don't have Dollar Tree because the storm took our Dollar Tree. We don't have anything already, but we want to change. We don't want the lottery on the gas station lot. Like that's what we don't want. We don't want. If we lose it, then what we have? We gotta go all the way to Wellston to go to the gas. That's not fair, but something needs to change. That's all we're saying. Don't shut them down. Give them a chance, but talk to them. Send them some letters.
What that neighborhood improvement specialist will do is it's like a call-in meeting, basically, where they get the owner of the gas station, community members, the NIS, sometimes the alderperson, the police officer, neighborhood liaison officer for that area. Everybody comes together, and before any property is ever shut down, they try to create an action plan. That's basically like, you have to do these things to abate the nuisance. And sometimes the first thing doesn't work, and I want to manage expectations on that. I mean, there's still a gas station by my house and I feel for the owner. She's her husband died. She inherited the gas station from him, and these kids keep coming with guns and drugs, and she's like, they expect me, this 60-year-old lady, to come out there and chase these guys off my pad every day, and they have guns. I'm not, and I understand that, right? I feel for her in that. But that's meant that the cities had to get a little bit more creative and not just put all of the onus on the property owner to fix it, because it's not always safe for them to interact with the folks that are oftentimes on their property without their permission. But the way to get this going is through that neighborhood improvement specialist, so I will get you connected with that.
And when you say it is the Republicans when it comes to the guns, because, my counterpart for the city, Senator Steve Roberts, we work together. And every single year, he's been trying to pass this piece of legislation that separates the city of St. Louis from the rest of the state and allow them to pass their own gun laws to protect the citizens in the city of the state. Now, let me give you my overall perspective. I believe they want crime in the city, and I believe they want it to go up because they're trying to take the money from the city. The city is the economic engine that drives the state. St. Louis City is the face of Missouri, and they're trying to take it over. And so that's what they want to do. And so how do we do that? We just allow it to deteriorate, and we allow people to, you know, our kids to kill themselves. You follow me? But they don't know because we got to be their parents. We got to educate them and say, nobody's coming to save us. It's up to us to save ourselves. It's up to us to do right, and it's up to us to create the environment in which we want to live. So we have to create an environment conducive for learning for our kids. We can't wait on it, and we got to put pressure on the city. I should have did it years ago. What I wanted to do was get rid of LRA on the state level. But all these different aldermen kept coming to me, no, give it one more chance. It's the largest one when I took office. It owned more properties in North St. Louis than it did in South St. Louis. It's still the largest slum owner, and I don't care who they put down there, it still has not changed the paradigm in the community. So this year I still might file a piece of legislation to eradicate it totally and get rid of, sell off all the property, and maybe we'll get some change in the community. That's what needs to happen, first of all, because I sat on the street one day and watched kids get off the bus and walk by 5 dilapidated houses, 5 of them. And they shouldn't have to live in an environment that looked like a third world country. And each one of those houses was owned by LRA. So, you know, so we do have a problem with that because that's not being corrected. And they need some help correcting it. I might just go ahead and help them. But that's what we're talking about.
Seeing that every day, that's depressing. You make you want to kill. Sometimes make me, I come out the house and see that. I'm like, oh, who can I kill? You know.
So I just want to say to the panelists, thank you guys for sharing your wealth of knowledge. I have learned an awful lot today, and I appreciate it. I have a question for Megan Green. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Office of Violence Prevention?
Definitely. So this was started, I think, 3 years ago with ARPA dollars that we got from the Biden administration. And basically the goal of it is to stand up violence interrupters, to work with folks that are at risk of committing crime, to de-escalate it before it happens. And there's not a lot of success with these types of programs in other cities. Sometimes you know that there are 2 people that are beefing, right, and it's escalating. But if that violence interrupter can step in and relocate somebody out of town or help to, mediate whatever beef is happening, oftentimes they can prevent that crime from happening in the first place. And that is ultimately the goal of that office, is to look at those data-tested crime prevention techniques. And I'll also say, if they're not doing what they're supposed to be, I'll follow up on that as well. Because this program has an immense amount of promise to it. And I do think has been responsible for some of our decreasing crime, because we do actually have folks out in the community now who know the community, right? They have to have that trust in those relationships. And oftentimes our law enforcement officers don't have that same level of trust. And they know with one of these, with the crime prevention, the intervention folks, they're not going to go and tell on a police officer if somebody's engaging in that behavior. They're going to work to fix it and figure out what they need, rather than try to send them off to jail. And that's why they build relationships and are able to de-escalate violence.
So how do we get information about the Office of Violence Prevention, like to advocate or to send people to your website or contact you if there are situations where we know that they can benefit from your program?
I will, let me get your contact information. I can connect you with the director over there, because I think they'd also like to know about the program.
Thank you. Okay, so Senator Carla May, Okay, everything you said, I loved it. You took me back to my childhood and the way I was raised. So I just want to ask a question to you about your economic distress fund. I think that's the name of it. How do I get information about that fund?
I'll just give you my office email and my phone number, and then we can get you the information. And I know that we didn't fund it this time because we told almost everything we put in the budget with the new government taking place. So definitely we can put some funds in there next year. I think we usually put about $2 million in there and let these, local non-profit organizations who are out in the community anyway, they're doing things in the community and they can apply for those funds. So I'll definitely get you that information.
Thank you. And Precious, so I would love to join you when you go to the Capitol for any cause that you're rooting for. So every time you've called me and reached out to me, I make myself available, and I will continue to do that because you're doing great work in the community. And if any of you guys hear of anything that's related to domestic violence, please let me know. We're still fairly new. We're only about a year and 3 months old, but there's so much work to do, and so we're thirsty. My board is thirsty. We want to help the community, so please let me know. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
How you guys doing today? I love what you were saying because that's how I was raised. And a lot of my neighbors, they don't like me that much. You know why? Because you're not going to litter. You're not going to act a fool. There was a violent issue in my neighborhood. I made phone calls, fixed all these lights. It needed to get done, and it got done. But as we're looking right now in this room, what I've learned as being a leader is your job is to get people energized, to bring people together to make a change. So when and I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I don't care. Nobody ran against Pam Boyd. And we've been hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. I said, well, maybe I should run for her. But let me give you an example of what I mean by this. In my ward, there was an issue that I was observing, this issue of a particular building that was occupied by people who did not have the proper license. So when I began to get tired of this, I decided to call and complain. When I complained, there was already a complaint because my other person already was on it. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying? If you have a person that is actively in the community, walking, is no reason why we should be having this meeting here. Pam Boyd she love the phone now. She can call down and speak to those property managers down there, send out letters and communicate with what's going on in the community. We know it's bad. That's why the job is not an easy job. It's a hard job. Your job is hard. Your job is hard. Your job is hard. Your job is hard. It's a hard job. But we know what we have to do. In order to be good leaders, you have to energize the people to come together to want to see change. I asked several people, I'm like, well, why you ain't go out and vote? Well, I'm from the 13th ward. I don't want to vote. It's no point. It's no point. It don't matter. The ward is going down and down and down because people have given up hope. They don't care. And then the people who do complain, we become targets. My neighbors, they love me now, but you're not going to come here playing loud music. You're not going to sit here throwing liquor bottles on my street and in my alleyways, illegal dumping. I made sure that I got 4 cameras to catch. And I made sure that I don't have to go to the service bureau. I know the detectives personally, and I'm finna give you this email or this vehicle that are doing illegal dumping with these tires in my backyard, because when I move my vehicle, I don't like to get all those, all them tires everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But we as people, if I'm the only one that's doing it, and people, oh, he gonna handle it, he gonna handle it, he gonna handle it, nobody's getting anything done. We see all of these young people's lives are going. Like I told Precious, I'm like, you know what? Anytime she does anything, people listen. But when someone's complaining, oh, whatever, they ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing. But they know when she speak, when she talk, people listen. In this community, what we're seeing is no one listening to the people because they already figured out they ain't gonna come together. They ain't gonna work together. And just like Miss Boyd, I mean, she may be on Zoom, hey, but she ain't here.
Oh, she got Zoom?
She ain't here because she already knows what's gonna happen. Because when it's time to vote, the same thing for years and years and years. So if you want to be the change you want to see in the world. And you want to get somebody, if you want to continue to stay in the ward, to run. Someone that's younger, energized, to get the people together. That's what you were saying with the committee people. That's what they are. You got committee people. I'm confused. Is anyone in here from the committee, from the 13th ward in here? Anyone? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So no, I'm done with that one. So that's what the committee person is. You see what I'm saying? And so these people are also elected as well. So the problem that we're facing really is not that people don't care, is that people have lost hope. They're not re-energized. And a leader, I don't care what nobody say about certain people in office, but a real leader's job is to energize the people in the community. Miss Pam Boyd can have this whole room filled that she was, all right, I'm done, yeah, I'm done. I'm done, because I'm going to leave it alone, because the truth is the truth. We want to see change in this community, but we're not getting it because the people don't care anymore. There you go. My altar person makes me happy because I'm like, you know what, listen, you need anything, I got you, I take care of you. Because I see the work that this person is doing. I see them in the community. I see them going to meetings. I see them communicating. If there's an issue, I call them because I know what they're doing. I know several people. I got property in 13th Ward. It's the same thing for years. People are like, literally, during the election, there's a young lady that lives over on this street by the train track. I think it's Summit. And I said, are you going to vote? She said, no, it's no point of voting. Nobody on this block vote. Oh, I think that one old man, he vote down the street, but I don't know if he's going to vote this time. The whole block. The whole block. So if y'all really want change, you should run. If you really want change. Because be the change you want to see in the world. That's all we need. And you're going to, I'm not saying you if you want to do it, but someone has to energize the people. Election, knock on doors, meet people. That's how you change for real. We're going to keep having these same meetings over and over again about the same thing. Right, and you know what? And that's why I said that's an easy issue to get a repair, because for one, we know that they receive federal funding as well. And there are certain guidelines, certain rules, right to enjoyment. I'll be on the phone with him tonight. Don't worry about it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Pam Boyd could have done that. And it could have been completed. It wouldn't have got this far. So I don't mind people disliking me. I don't care, but I'm telling you the truth. There's no way you should be sitting here right now having this whole discussion in this church right now when you have a paid altar person who you can communicate with. Thank you.
Not quite as tall, but okay, I can be heard. Thank you. So, thank you all. I appreciate what I've been hearing. I want to address Ms. Green for the moment. Being someone of a less melanated skin as well, I think what I hear here in many other settings like this is a people dealing with the results of a long-built system. And how that changes has to start with our psychology and how we approach that system. My degree, and not to tout it, just to know where I'm coming from, is in organizational psychology. And so how culture developed has been the study of my journey. We come from a scarcity mentality, and creating scarcity amongst people that we want to harm ends up in results like is being discussed today. I think you, the mayor, and others are in a very, have a great opportunity to make history that hasn't been made before by inviting other folks, because I deal with a lot of folks in white anti-racism spaces, and we're lost as to how to help. We're afraid to go into your neighborhood. And I've been in so many of these neighborhoods, and I know that it's a different feeling than what we've been groomed to feel, right? So we want to come in and help, but I don't want to make mistakes. I'm afraid you're going to be mean to me because of how my people have been to you, all of these different things. So I say all of that to say I would love to work with you, the city, to invite people in to invest our time, invest our energy, and see this as a talent base that has been disinvested in to create the results that we're seeing right now. If we could see that as a talent base, as a loving people, as from a humanitarian standpoint, we can really make some significant change and invest properly in the community that doesn't just take, there's too many people salivating for the opportunity to invest in it in a more gentrifying way. Yet these are human beings with human feelings, with human talents that can be invested in. And that's what I would love to work with you all on. And specifically, I'm addressing you because it has to come to an inviting way. There has to be certain calls to action to folks that help us see not just a your problem type of thing, but our problem.
I appreciate that. And, you know, some of the conversations I've been having on the South Side in particular since the tornado is to not forget about the North Side. You know, I live in Tower Grove. I live in an area that has rapidly gentrified from the time that I moved into it 20 years ago. And unfortunately, I see a lot of folks in my neck of the woods who think that the tornado's over, that the North Side's recovered, everything's gone back to normal, and we could not be farther from the truth. And I've seen my role in a lot of ways is having tough conversations with a lot of those white folks to say, no, first off, the disinvestment that happened in the North Side over generations was largely because of Southsiders hoarding resources, right? And we have to be honest about that. And we also have to be honest that rebuilding the North Side to where it was pre-tornado is also not satisfactory because of the level of disinvestment. And that is going to require, I think, a mindset change for a good portion of the city that very much sees it as, if I get something, then you don't, or if you get something, I don't. When the fact of the matter is, the city rises and falls based upon how we recover and how the north side recovers. And it's been like that pre-tornado, right? The success of the city is dependent upon the success of the north side. And I think too much of our city, unfortunately, has not seen that. And so our role, I think, especially as white people, is to make people see that and not forget about it, and to continue to have those conversations with folks and get them to engage where we need to get them engaged. You know, the elephant in the room is we have, you know, this grants money sitting out there. And I have told folks, I think the bulk of that needs to go into the north side into redevelopment, but it has to be community centered. And it can't be given to some, you know, big developer to come in with their grand plans of what this looks like. It has to be what people who live here now want their community to look like. And that is my commitment in all of this. I'm one of, you know, 3 votes on the Board of Estimate and Apportionment. So there's ultimately there will have to be 3 of us, or 2 of the 3, that decide on that direction to get that money spent in this way. But that is my commitment. And while also calling on our corporate and philanthropic partners, who I also don't think have been doing enough. And I've told a number of them that to their face, that sending, you know, $50,000 into a fund is not sufficient. Ameren, you know, sounds like a lot to give a $1 million donation, but look at the amount of profits that they have at the moment. They can afford to do a lot more, and they're still, I'm actually going to be at a press conference shaming them at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning because they're continuing to disconnect electricity in the tornado zone. You know, folks that are trying to get their feet underneath them, they're cutting off their power. That's ridiculous. There's no reason to be doing that while they're raising our rates, you know, 15% at the same time. So I agree, there's a lot of work, and I'm happy to partner on it, and I hear your message, and I think it's very important, because we're going to have to build the momentum for the entire city to be able to rebuild back in the way that we need to rebuild. And that's going to take some difficult conversations, and it's going to take us doing, you know, what I like to call white folk work, of holding some of our own accountable for, you know, past actions, and also how we can remedy that for the future.
Well, thank you.
And Jesse, JD, while you up, can you tell everybody about your organization and the name of it? He was one of the vendors that came in late,
So the name of it, I wrote a book called Race for What? I grew up in University City. I grew up with Shamim. I grew up with Precious. I have always been on a journey to understand why racism existed. And when I learned that it was a system and not just bias and not just prejudice and those types of harms, but those fit into a system to control resources, it kind of opened me up to wanting to know why that started psychologically, which led me to organizational psychology. And so that healing is really what I'm about, and it's understanding the value of others that I think we need to really readjust. So
thank you.
So what I wanted to kind of piggyback off what you said. I love what you're saying, but I also think that you have to come into the community, because what the community wants to know and what they want to feel safe with, they want to know that you're not going to invest into the community and they can't afford to be there no more once you do your investment.
That's what I'm telling them as well. So I'm in agreement with you. I have to see you as a human versus see you as a competition for these resources. And that's where I'm,
And unfortunately, as you know, there's not a lot of great case studies out there of responding to disasters that have not resulted in gentrification.
Yeah.
There's a few, and my office has been looking at those, trying to figure out what does rebuilding look like in a way that's not going to push people out.
Right.
It's not going to, you know, we want folks to have equity in their homes, but we don't want prices to go up, you know, to a point that people can't afford to live
Right.
anymore. And that's the balance we're gonna have to strike.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
we're gonna have one last question, and then after her question, we will wrap up.
I got one question.
You go.
I read this. I had a flyer and it said that we're here for violence and safety concerns. Where's the violence interrupters? Where are the people that's supposed to? Why aren't they here? If their entrapment is in Wells Goodfellow, where the crime that we're concerned about is at, where are the violence interrupters? I think that they probably should have been in the meeting as well, because they marched the beat. They're the ones outside. They're the ones talking to the kids, getting the crime down. They should be in this meeting as well.
I agree, and I think we could work out a follow-up meeting where we get the area violence interrupters in with you too.
I know Precious is going to shut me up here in a second, but I do want to say that what we've realized over the summer is that the problem is not just breaking generational poverty, it is breaking generational trauma. It is generation after generation after generation, and the cycle never ends, it's never broken, no one ever gets fixed. They get killed. And that's what we're living with. And I think that, to what he was just saying, people often less melanated, and believe me, that's not a good thing all the time. We all know. You've seen me. But we can't be afraid. What's to be afraid of? These are our neighbors. These are our friends if we make them our friends. I have met more wonderful people this summer since I've been involved with Precious and been working up north than I have met in the past 20 years in West County, where people don't remember there was a tornado. Oh, but Forest Park is okay. You know, the zoo's open? Oh, okay, we're cool. You know, what we have found is that we need to start where the problem starts, and that's at home, but it starts when the kids are little, very little, very, very little. I mean, by the time they're two, sometimes they've seen things that most adults never see, especially in other zip codes. However, if we take these children, start it young, mentor them the best that we can. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to come in. Anyone, please come in, talk to the people, talk to Precious. Anyone here would be more than happy to help you figure out how you can mentor a child. One child can make all the difference. And we all know that. Okay, Precious, thank you.
I know you said last person. Hey, y'all. My name is Angela Malone. I was invited by Precious, and I'm a part of her board with Breaking Generational Poverty. And basically, you all are in the right place. I mean, all the legislators, all the people, they're telling you just what you need to hear. And it's basically, you started. You know, you all got started, you know, and then just have to pick up that phone. Even if you have to call the police on your own child, tell them, Precious, I will. So, you know, we can't pick and choose. I just want to just say that, because some of us, we be wanting to complain, but sometimes it can be in your own house, and sometimes when our relatives or kids out, we want to hold back. You can't do that. When you going in, you got to go in. It don't matter who you calling on, and I will call in. I'm going to let them know I'm getting ready to call the police. So if you still standing there when they come, that's on you. So I done told you, you know, you ain't finna, I don't play. I'm not the popular person. I'm not the person you gonna like, and I don't care about that. I mean, I'm gonna be me, just like Pastor Leroy said. So you just have to just be you know, like he said, come into the community, be in the community. You just have to, you know, be you. That it is who it is. Then you came into my daycare, Miss Green, yeah, because they came to visit the daycare, her and some more legislators, the other individuals on the daycare board, and then also Senator Mosley and her husband and her daughter, they came in, read books to the children at the daycare, gave all the kids resolutions. So, yeah, big part of the community, but, you know, just get involved. Yeah, that's all you all have to do, and when you get in, you in. Yep, and pick up their phone. I utilize every number. They know me by heart. I don't care. It is what it is, yeah. Okay.
Good meeting.
What, what you can, we have been trying to get an age requirement to carry a weapon. So if we can get that law passed, it says an age requirement to carry a weapon, maybe we can stop the 15-year-olds from carrying AR-15s walking down the street. So, you know, so we've been trying to get that done. So we're gonna try again, and maybe we can get everybody to help us communicate that message of how, you know, dangerous it is. So, I just wanted to say that, because Missouri doesn't have an age requirement to carry a weapon. That's why you see these babies being influenced by these adults.
And I would say to that, whenever you all started, maybe we can come up to the Capitol, because I love going up to the Capitol. I get rooms. The legislators sometimes give me rooms. I love the Capitol, and I love Jeff City, so I always say I'm an honorary state rep, because I'm always up there. But I wanted to say a few things. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. And I wanted to address the reason at the Office of Violence Prevention, the Show Me Peace is not here because I didn't invite them here to speak. They can, you know, come. I shared the flyer with everybody, but I don't look at the level of the organization because it's the city. I automatically say, yes, I'm gonna work with them. I look at the impact, I look at the integrity, I look at what they're doing. And if I don't agree with it, whether you're a legislator, law enforcement, community leader, a spiritual leader, city official, if I don't see what I need to see, if your results are not matching the paperwork, then I'm not gonna work with you, because BGP was built on passion, the death of my son. So I cannot on no day allow anybody to stand alongside with me and work alongside with me if they do not align with my integrity. I don't get funding, so everything I do is out of pocket, volunteers, donations, networking. So when I come out and I do something, it's about integrity, because my son died and lost his life for what I'm fighting for. So I know the history of the Cure Violence. I know the history of Show Me Peace. My son was once being mentored too, and I didn't see the results that I needed to see. My baby still ended up in a casket. So I won't go too far, but what I will say is that I do think, because I do hear some people say it a lot, like, you know, city officials, oh, we have the Office of Violence Prevention and the Show Me Peace, but are y'all really looking at what's happening? Because with that office being open, I heard like the numbers and the data on the paper, but I'm not seeing it in the community. I'm still seeing mothers burying their kids like running water. I just buried my 18-year-old little cousin. That was my uncle's daughter. He was so shattered. He asked, you know, us not to put it on social media, not for it to be public, so I respect that because I understand it. But the little girl that was killed on Redbud, they drove her, matter of fact, July 27th, and they drove her to Kings Highway in Berkshire and left her body in a car. And right now today, her body is still floating through social media with her hand hanging out. And my uncle and them have to look at that, and I have to be the one to keep reporting it to Facebook to get closed down. When I look and I see on the news that all these kids got arrested, what was that, the 4th of July, it makes me angry because you allocate funds for these big organizations to say, we're the interrupters. We're gonna do prevention. Well, if you're gonna do prevention and interrupting, you know the 4th of July is coming before the 4th of July get here. You should have been out there. It should have never even hit the media, the police shouldn't have had to go arrest no kids or anything. You already was supposed to have something in plan. If I had funding the level of success that we have right now with no funding, if I had funding, baby, we will be getting busy with these kids because we know what's needed. And we are not afraid to be those ones, like the ones that the people run across the street and don't want to walk and, share the sidewalk with. Those were the kids in my house. My baby first political official that he met was Carla May. My baby was one of her babies. And he was so happy. He met her at one of his mentor programs because Tink loved the fast life. He loved money. I was a working mom, and I didn't have those resources. So that's another reason why I'm real passionate when we say resources and mentoring. You gotta know that these places are really doing what they say they're doing, because when we put our children in their hands, we want to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing. But he was so happy, and he was like, "Mama, I'm friends with a politician." I said, "Boy, sit down." He was like, "I am." I said, "Who?" He's talking about Senator Carla May. She know me. And I'm like, "Boy, sit down." So one day, your sign was up, and he was like, "There she goes, she know me." So he showed me a picture of him and her, and I was like, "Oh, you do know?" I said, "Well, maybe it was just one picture." But when she saw him, she knew Tink, she knew Preston. They knew each other, and that meant so much to me. So that's why I always reach out and always invite her. Anytime she's running, I'm going to be there to help, because I felt like she was there for my child. So that automatically made me be there for her, because he was excited about that. And all of that played a huge part. So I don't work in silos. I believe in working together, but I believe in working together with people that align with the same mission. So each group that's in here, I didn't work with them, I didn't vetted them out. I didn't grow up with Jesse because he's older than me, but I grew up with his little sister. So Jesse was like our big brother. But Jesse came from a really, really good home that took in all the black kids. And his mom and dad were very prominent in the community. Can I tell them what they did? Okay, because I always tell people. But his dad was an attorney. His mom was a doctor. His mom lived on Princeton, and you see these big, pretty houses. His dad lived on the other side of the city, big, pretty house. And the places that they would take us, our parents didn't have to send money. You would go to Jesse's house, to either his mom, Joan's house, or his daddy, Larry's house. Whatever house you went to, you was gonna be taken care of. You didn't have to want for nothing, and they were the nicest people. We were able to walk throughout their house. They didn't look at us like, are they gonna steal something? Their house was open to us. They fed us. They took us to places that I know that I wouldn't have went to because I went into those places, but they taught us a lot of different things, and they loved us. And they showed us that color does not mean anything. We sat at their tables plenty of days, plenty of nights, eating food. Like, they were really, really good to us. So I look at Jesse as like a brother, because I grew up so close in a home. It was never a day that I couldn't come over, even if his little sister wasn't there. It was never a day I couldn't knock on the door and the door be open. So it's just people like that, and people like Paris, people like Bobby, Tam, just everybody that's in here that has an organization, they are really doing it from the heart. So that's why I bring them on. So if you don't see me work with somebody, just know it's not that I work in silos. I work with integrity, and my baby, his life really means a lot to me, and I can't let nobody diminish that. And I don't want to get attached with the wrong people, because my mission is real, real sincere. And that's what I was saying. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but that's just me. I'm grassroots, so I'm not scripted. I'm just me.
And we gotta hear it, right? If these programs are not working for the community, we gotta hear it, because then it's our job to fix it, right? And so I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And then we have 15 scholarships, so 10 phlebotomy scholarships. So I have job and resource fairs, and when I have these fairs, I never, ever, ever charge a fee. I've never charged a fee for anybody to come out, because I feel like if you coming out to bring resources and give jobs, why would I charge you? That doesn't make sense. Just give my people a job or train them and be good. That's an even trade to me. So this school is Massey School of Phlebotomy. This is a free 5-week phlebotomy course, And they have to do is just send an email as to why they think that they should receive, a scholarship, and we'll read it, and we'll determine. But this is something that's going to be ongoing throughout the year. But it's free. It's just totally free. And this one is a free 6-week CNA course. This is another nurse edification. And this school is a school that's been coming out to my job and resource fairs since I had them as well. So all they have to do is send an email, and then they're able to, if they get chosen, they're able to get a free CNA class. So we don't let not having funding stop us from what we're doing, because I feel like when the mission is there and it's in alignment with God, He gonna open up all the doors and order the footsteps. And for us to have 15 free scholarships and I didn't have to pay one dime, that says that I'm really doing the work. And that says that I don't just want to be able to pay people utilities for the moment. I want to put them in a position where they can pay their own utilities, where they can take care of their own children, where they have something. And I know, just like somebody else said earlier, everybody doesn't want to go to the, 4-year college, 8-year college. Some people just want to do a trade, and that's okay. So I try to promote just all of that and just really try to help people. So I wanted to mention this, and I wanted to say thank you to all our elected officials and appointed officials for coming out, the ones on Zoom. We have Senator Mosley, State Rep Chanel Mosley. Thank you to Sonia Gray and anybody else that was on. Thank you, Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. Thank you for coming out, even though this wasn't for your district, but you can make sure that you just, get this information. But I do thank everybody for coming out and at the last minute. So again, remember these faces when we're voting. Remember these faces when we're speaking. Remember these faces when we calling out who shows up at the last, I maybe sent something 2-3 days ago or something, but remember these faces, please, because that's important, and that really is important, and that's how change happens, because they were busy. He had to go out of town. I just invited her 2 days ago, and I just told Cindy like 2 days ago, and I told her maybe an hour ago. So remember these faces, remember them. So yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Precious, can I get a picture of that, the one for the nurse?
Okay.